Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to be analyzing and talking about the results that just came last night from the South Carolina primary. And in short, to summarize the results, Joe Biden won a very massive victory. He won by almost 30 points. Nobody really expected him to do this well. A lot of people expected him to win, but not like this. You can see here, he won every single county, even some of the northern counties that they thought Bernie Sanders would be able to win. Some people even thought that Bernie Sanders would be able to win. Bernie Sanders echoed that on Saturday afternoon, that he could make a play for the state and he could be able to win it that coming night. Well, as you can see here, that definitely did not happen. Biden in the largest counties won by very large proportions, as well as doing well in the rural counties that may have otherwise voted for Pete Buttigieg due to his appeal to middle-aged white voters, as we have seen in some of the other states. But to look at the winners and losers, we can see Joe Biden is obviously a winner, and pretty much everybody else is a loser. Bernie Sanders is a loser. He should have done better here. It would have given him a lot more momentum going into Super Tuesday, which he still does have. He has the monetary resources. He has the ground game. He has a lot of different things going his way. Tom Steyer obviously dropped out. He is a loser. Pete Buttigieg is a loser. It shows that he can't really capture the black vote no matter how hard he tries. Same thing with Elizabeth Warren. She can't get much of the black vote out, and she really has no path to the nomination, along with Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. All three of these people should drop out, basically. Amy Klobuchar will stay until Super Tuesday. Uh, I guess that's good for Biden in some ways because of the fact that if she wins Minnesota, she can take a victory away from Bernie Sanders, which could help him in the long run. Tulsi Gabbard obviously should drop out. I don't even know what she's doing in the race anymore. She should have dropped out after New Hampshire. And this another loser is Michael Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg was banking on Joe Biden being the unelectable candidate, that Joe Biden would fall apart and that he would come in to save the Democratic Party. That seems less and less likely the further we go on now, especially now Joe Biden has won his first primary ever, winning South Carolina. Looking at the total results, we can see here not all of the delegates have been allocated yet. The New York Times puts it at 48 out of the 54 allocated. It'll probably be 3 more for each of Bernie and Biden. That's what they're predicting. So Bernie Sanders currently has 56 delegates, which is shortly followed by Biden's 51. And then we see Pete having just over half of that at 26 and Warren at 8, with Klobuchar at 7, and I think they said Steyer might be able to get one as well. But then we see that this is the map here of all of these states that are coming up. We see some of these Super Tuesday states that are coming up. We have Alabama, American Samoa, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota, North Carolina, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Democrats, and Virginia. So all of those states are going to be going up here after this. But currently, we see Bernie Sanders still does maintain a delegate lead, but in the popular vote, he is no longer leading since South Carolina is the largest of the first 4 states. Joe Biden has taken the lead in terms of the popular vote. So to look at how this equates to the polls, we saw in Iowa the polls were not very accurate. In New Hampshire, the polls were not very accurate. In Nevada, the polls were spot on. The polls were almost completely accurate in terms of the first popular vote, not in terms of the delegates where Bernie Sanders swamped everybody else, but that's not what they were measuring. What they were measuring was the first ballot, and they got that pretty much spot on. But to look at these polls, it looks like they have done very poorly. The RCP average had Biden ahead by 15.4 points, and he ended up winning by 28.5 points. The only poll that had that even close was the Trafalgar Group poll, which had Biden only 4.5 points off what he actually got, which I guess is in the margin of error. All of these results were in the margin of error for this poll, but this poll only. I think it's the only poll really that had him anywhere close to the actual results, and it was a very recent poll. We had a poll here that was done pretty much at the same time as this that had Biden getting 34, which is 14 less than what he actually got. And it just undermines more faith in what the polls are showing here. Democrats have been using them a lot, and it shows that the polls are not often not very accurate. In Nevada, they were accurate, but that is really an exception here. We see in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada, they have not been accurate. Looking at the betting odds here now, we see Biden has surged. He was at around 9%. He bottomed out at 9%. He is back up to 28.5% again of getting the nomination. Hillary Clinton has gone up to 4.5%. The Unibet thing here had her at 9% yet to the nomination. That would be amazing to see. Michael Bloomberg has dropped a lot as well. He went up to 34, and then when the debate happened, he dropped a lot. He has now dropped further as a result of Biden expecting to win in South Carolina and then winning in South Carolina. He has dropped a lot. Bernie has dropped a little bit, but it should go back up depending on how Super Tuesday goes, which we can look at here. Some of the polling here in terms of California. First of all of these polls here were done before the South Carolina results, so you could pretty much add a couple points to Biden in almost all of these polls and take a couple points away from Bloomberg or Buttigieg or even some from Sanders in that case and give them to Biden. So from California here, it looks like it's pretty much a lock for Bernie Sanders. It looks like he is going to cruise to victory here, and it looks like people like Biden, who is currently at only 13% here in terms of the average, may not even get many delegates at all, but I'm sure that he will get at least some of a boost as a result of uh, doing well in South Carolina here. He really, like, he was leading at a point along with Kamala Harris all the way back here, but even when she dropped, he was still leading against Warren, and then Bernie started to surge. He was only at 26. He is now at 34. Biden has bottomed out, and he's now at 13%, but I expect that to go up to maybe 17, 18, even up to 20% as he has raised a little bit more money as well that he might be able to salvage by spending in California. Texas as well. This is going to be a lot closer than people think. I think a lot of vote will go away from Michael Bloomberg and go into the Biden campaign, some also going away from Bernie Sanders, maybe even going to Warren, especially since Bernie did not do very well in South Carolina. Then again, Warren did not do very well either. We might see some more vote for the moderate and less for some people like Amy Klobuchar, who might have gotten some votes in places like Virginia or North Carolina. And so I think that Texas will be a very close state. I think Biden could end up winning this state. Same thing with North Carolina, Virginia. I think Biden will win those. I think Bernie will probably win Massachusetts. Bernie will win Colorado. Bernie will win Utah. And that's just kind of an overview of what's to come. I'll be doing my full prediction for the Super Tuesday tomorrow. But it looks like it could be very good for Bernie. But looking at the RCP chances for the not RCP 538 chances for the Democratic nomination here, we can see that the chances of a contested convention are now 3 and 5, 59% chances, and that is very significant because you can see that that'll cause a big rupture, more than the rupture that's already been created in the party. If you go into the Milwaukee Democratic Convention and you see Bernie Sanders, who is probably more likely than not to have the most delegates, as you can see, if we go down here, Bernie is at 1645 average, which is just under 300 ahead of Joe Biden. Bernie goes in with the lead here, and then Joe Biden comes out as the nominee, or somebody else comes out as the nominee, even Hillary Clinton. That is going to cause a rupture in the Democratic Party, and you'll see what you saw last time, where a lot of Bernie bros did not vote, or they voted for Trump because they really did not like Hillary, and you might see a lot of the same sentiment for Joe Biden if he is able to pull off a victory in a contested convention. Because what I think is most likely now is that Sanders will come first in terms of raw delegates, and Biden will come second for raw pledged delegates. And then he'll go to a contested convention. On the first ballot, Bernie is not going to get the delegates that he needs, the 1991, which is the majority of the delegates that he is going to need. And then it'll cause a rupture in the Democratic Party because Bernie will create more division in the Democratic Party. And that is going to be very significant in the long run. It could basically hand Trump a victory. His approval ratings could go up. They're actually very high now. They're at 46.3%, I think it was. That could continue to rise when the Republican nomination comes around and you see more campaigning depending on who the nominee is. If it's Bernie, it could be a landslide victory. But the South Carolina results, and just to kind of wrap this up, I don't think it'll have too much of an impact in terms of the overall race because I think that it's more likely than not that it's going to be headed for a contested convention anyway. But I do think that it will give Joe Biden a boost. It will knock Bloomberg down, and it will knock basically everybody down except for Joe Biden, who looks like he's kind of gotten his act together. People were saying he could be the Jeb Bush of 2020. I don't think so. I think Biden is going to be here for the entire time. He can do well in many of these Super Tuesday states. He can do well in other states in March coming up, like Florida, Georgia, those kind of states. And he will do well in those states. And I think that he'll be here till the end. And it'll be a very significant election season. I really cannot predict how it'll go for you. I think it's more likely than not that somebody is not going to get a majority of the delegates, as it says here. But yeah, just to recap the results, that's what I've been talking about, South Carolina. And the upcoming Super Tuesday states, you will see my prediction tomorrow. It's probably going to be very off, but that is just my prediction. But yeah, hope you all enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys later.